And of course, I didn't mention, I mean, there's, it's all the yelling and screaming and all the other bullshit. I mean, the stress is quite high. It's a very stressful environment.
Now,
So
what kept you from physically running away? Do they keep you locked in those instances? Or?
Well, yeah, you're okay. You're on a Sea Org base, and when you're on the RPF, you are never allowed to be alone. So you're always with other people, right? It may be in the bathroom you're alone, right? But otherwise, you're not. If you have to go off base, let's say you have to go get something, or you have some situation where you have to go to the hospital. This happened often. People would get hurt. I broke my finger on the RPF. There's a guy who lost an eye. There are people who break bones all the time. You have to go down to county to get that dealt with, right? The Sea Org doesn't have medical facilities there to deal with broken bones and stuff. 3 people have to go, right? So you and 2 other people escort you. And you don't get off base through security until you have a written okay from the RPF in charge that you're authorized to leave the base, and that all 3 of you are leaving the base at once. And the other 2 might not have anything to do except hang out with you for that period of time. So in a way, going to the hospital with somebody was kind of a pleasant reprieve for a couple hours. Like you kind of want to go volunteer to be somebody's buddy while they're going to the hospital with their broken bones or something. You look for these little opportunities to have these little moments. And horribly enough, that was one of the times you would have one of those moments, right? You never were allowed to have more than $20 on you at a time, and your IDs, passports, social security card, all of that was confiscated when you arrived to the RPF. You don't get to carry that stuff around with you ever. If you need it for, like, you go to the hospital, you need to present ID, then that person is given one of the people on the watch, one of the people who's accompanying the person is given that guy's IDs. That kind of thing. There's all these controls in place to keep people there. If they do manage to get off the base, and it's not impossible to do, if you walk at the right time and the right angle, you won't be in the cameras, but it's hard to find those places. But if you do manage to get off the base, they're going to figure out you're gone pretty quickly, especially on the RPF, which has so many schedule constraints and controls on it. And then they do then security gets involved. There's a whole security force on the base. They're not private security. They're Sea Org members who are trained to be security guards. They carry weapons. They have training. They are security. They dress like cops. They have, uniforms and stuff. And they go into what's called the blow drill. So you take off. Any Sea Org member takes off. RPFer, other Sea Org member, anybody who leaves, the blow drill goes into effect. This happened when I took off. They check your bank accounts. They check your credit cards. They start calling your relatives. They start trying to figure out, where could he have gone? Where would he go, or she? What are they most likely to be doing? Who are their contacts, right? Who are their friends? Who are their family? They have all this information on you on file, because you fill out. It's not just in your counseling sessions that you're giving them information. In Scientology, they have what's called a life history form. I might have mentioned this before, where you list all your friends, all your family, every school you've ever been to, every person, every job you've ever had, every person you've ever had any sexual experience with. Like, it's all listed out in this very extensive life history. They have that on file. If you're married, your spouse is going to know your bank passwords or whatever. They're going to wrangle your spouse in. They go, hey, he blew. We got to get him back. Tell us all about him, right? They get all that data. So they try to track you down, basically, right? And they have pursued people and found them at train stations, airports, bus stations, wandering the streets, in the park. They just track people down and they find them. They did not find me. And it wasn't for lack of looking. They just didn't know where to look, because I was literally hiding out at a completely random hotel in the middle of Pasadena. And they didn't think that because my parents didn't live in Pasadena anymore, They had no idea I had gone to Pasadena. So I eluded the blow drill, but that is not necessarily an easy thing to do. And that is something that they practice as a routine action in the Sea Org.